We finally got our hands on a rig that a lot of people have been waiting for, the 2023 Honda Talon 1000R-4. That's the 4-seat version of the slightly wider Honda Talon. Honda went through and did a couple of neat little updates on this machine. We want to take a look at it, give you 5 things we love, 5 things we hate, and then we're going to tell you exactly who we think this rig is for. Let's get started. The number one thing we love, and this should be no surprise, the suspension. This Fox Live valve suspension was big news when the Talon first dropped, and for good reason. It samples the terrain at something like 16 times a second. It changes the suspension settings to adapt to the terrain and how you're driving, and it still holds up really, really well. Of course, now you can get live valve on all sorts of different machines, the Pro R, the Maverick R. The difference is this rig starts at under $26,000 as it sits. That is a crazy steal for a smart adaptive suspension. It smooths out dips, it smooths out washouts, that sort of thing, like you would not believe. It has 2 settings, normal and sport. We found up here where, you know, the trail has a lot of washouts, a lot of big, deep, dried out puddles, that sort of thing. Normal is perfect. A little bit more supple, has a little bit more cush compared to the sports setting, which is a little bit more rigid. Sports setting is almost perfect for like railing down sand washes, that sort of thing, where you want just like a slightly firmer suspension. Is it as smart as some of the stuff that we've seen from, say, the Maverick R? No, but you also can't get anything like this for the price point in this segment, and that is why it is the number one thing we love. The second thing we love is this engine. You know, Honda pulled the engine out of the Africa Twin motorcycle, dropped it right in the Talon, and it's still a really good power plant. No, it doesn't have as much power as some of the other models that are out there. I think the Razor XP makes like 114 horsepower or something like that. But it still provides nice, smooth, even power. It feels great. It feels really sturdy. There are hundreds of thousands of miles on this engine on the road and off, and it has proven a reliable, stout unit. That's why it's number 2 in the things that we love. The third thing we love is storage. This also should not be a surprise. Honda has always been a packaging wizard, and that remains true here. You've got a big, deep, sealed glove box. Perfect for your cell phone, hats, keys, whatever. You've got a lot of cup holders just right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The doors, where a lot of manufacturers just waste this space, there's just nothing here. There's a handy little cubby that's crazy deep. You could put, I don't know, whatever you want in there, plus a cup holder. That's excellent. We've got USB power outlets. That's very clever. The back seat passengers also have cup holders galore. That's clever, and that's before you get into any of the accessory storage. This rig has zippered pockets up top, perfect for stowing, say, your wallet or any other paperwork, and there's also a big storage box in the back. That's excellent. We really appreciate it. That's why it's number 3, the third thing that we love about the Honda Talon. The fourth thing that we love is ease of operation. Now, for a lot of people who have had sports side-by-sides, some of this may seem a little elementary, but the Talon is super approachable. It shifts crazy easy because of that dual clutch transmission. Switching between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive is literally as simple as pushing a button. There's no waiting, none of that. Part of that is Honda's intelligent 4-wheel drive system. It's seamless. It comes on, goes off brilliantly. Switching between sport mode and normal mode. Automatic and manual transmission for the flappy paddles. All of that is incredibly easy. The gear indicator is bright, easy to see, easy to read. Yeah, these gauges are looking old, they're looking outclassed, but they're super clear, super easy to read, and that's a gauge's number 1 job. So, when it comes to ease of operation, that is the 4th thing that we love about the Honda Talon. The 5th thing that we love is the price. We mentioned this earlier. I still cannot believe this is $23,499 before you start adding on stuff like pod lights and light bars. That is a crazy steal for a sports side-by-side, especially one that's as capable as this machine. Yeah, there are things that bother us about it, but for the price, it's really hard to complain. For example, you can get a base Razor XP for about the same money. It does not feel as sorted as this machine. Now, yeah, spend a little bit more money, $1,200, and you get a Razor XP sort of mid-level. It gets you bigger tires, it gets you the Walker Evans shocks. Still not as good as what you see here. You're still going to deal with things like a CVT belt and a CVT and all the rest of that. For a lot of people, because this says Honda on it and because it has a proven drivetrain with hundreds of thousands of miles out in the wild, that's worth every penny. That's worth skipping some of the bigger off-road stuff that you get from Polaris. Before we go any farther, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's a big help to us, and it means you will see our freshest content as soon as it comes out. Let's get back to it. All right, now for 5 things we hate, and we're going to start inside with this throttle. This has been a common complaint since we first got our hands on the Talon. It has a super, super sensitive throttle, which you think is what you'd want on a sport machine. Well, that's true and not true. For one thing, it's super snappy, and combined with something else that we'll get into a little bit later, you wind up with a drivetrain that sort of easily gets out of sorts. It feels sort of rough, sort of jarring, which really isn't what you sort of expect out of a Honda. We want a throttle map control. We want to be able to go between different modes like other manufacturers are offering. Can-Am offers it, Yamaha offers it, I think even Polaris on certain models you can get a throttle map control. That's huge. That's all we want. Honda knows this is a problem. We've spoken to some people there who are aware that that's a thing, and I believe they're working on something similar. But for right now, it's one of our biggest complaints with this machine. You get out into a rock garden where you've got uneven terrain, you start bouncing, the throttle's going up and down, the engine responds almost immediately, and you wind up with a really jerky situation, and that's not what you want when you're trying to navigate a bunch of obstacles. You wind up applying too much throttle, you get tire spin, you slide into things, you're having a bad time. So, number one thing that we hate about the Honda Talon, this throttle. The second thing we hate, we're going to stay right here, the shift logic. When Honda dropped the Talon and it came up with a dual clutch transmission, it was revolutionary. Up until this point, we'd been stuck with either a sequential transmission like in the YXZ or a CVT like in literally everything else. Some rigs have like a 3-speed automatic. Having a true dual clutch transmission was a genuine game changer for the side-by-side world. Well, that was a few years ago, and now we've got, say, the Maverick R, which has shown us exactly what a dual clutch transmission can be like in a sport side-by-side. Maverick R is buttery smooth, the shifts are precise and gentle and almost imperceptible. That's not the case with the Talon. Shifts are really abrupt. Even just puttering around a parking lot, you get this big sort of like hammer in the back of the head. That's not great. And again, off-road, it's not what you want changing gears. Yeah, you can drop into manual mode to control when the thing shifts. That's not super reliable. What you want is a machine that just sort of makes the transmission go away. That's why CVTs are so popular, because you just don't have to think about it. The engine is in the right rev range all the time. This thing sort of feels like it's hunting and pecking sometimes, and it feels like it's really abrupt. Part of that might be that they ported this drivetrain over from a motorcycle, so it wasn't really intended to be in this application. Part of it just might be that Honda hasn't taken the time to really work out the shift logic, the clutches, the rest of that in this machine. That's the second thing we hate about the Honda Talon. Okay, obviously the big news with the 1000R-4 is the fact that you have a back seat in the R model finally. That's huge news. Unfortunately, like the X, rear seat room is not great. So for perspective, I'm about 5'11". The front seat is set up for me to drive the machine as I would normally operate it, and my knees are in this rig. Yeah, there are pockets over here that I can sort of, you know, straddle the front seat, but that doesn't need to be that way. I feel like there could be another inch or two here and we'd be in a much better place. The rear seat in this machine is really for smaller passengers. Think your kids, think sort of smaller friends, that sort of thing. If you're a full-size adult riding back here, it's going to be a little tight. You're probably going to wind up with bruises on your knees. We do like this big grab bar. That's nice. It's nice to hold on to. It feels really sturdy. You can brace yourself in here, which with the stadium seating here, the fact that you can see ahead, that's awesome. We love that. And, you know, I can see you riding along back here, see what the driver's about to do, and just need something to hold on to. So that's great, but we do wish there was a little bit more room in this back seat. That's the third thing that we hate about the Talon 1000R. The fourth thing we hate, and this isn't Honda exclusive, a lot of sports side-by-sides suffer from this exact thing, rear visibility. It's really difficult to see out of this thing. It makes this rear view mirror nearly superfluous. I love that we have one. I love that it comes with a rear view mirror, but it's really difficult to see where the rear tires are when you're backing up. That's especially true when you have your net in place, because you can't stick your head out of this rig to see where you're going. A lot of manufacturers get around that with a rear view camera. This is a budget priced rig. It doesn't have a center screen, it doesn't have a rear view camera, and that's really noticeable when you're trying to maneuver around on a tight trail, you're trying to back out of your garage, that sort of thing. The fifth thing that we hate, wheel and tire package. Yeah, these 15s look awesome. Yes, these Kenda tires have plenty of grip. My problem here is that these are 15s with a 28-inch tire. Not only does it look a little goofy, look a little golf carty, you really have to worry about pinch flats here. Really, the biggest limitation on this machine is the wheel and tire combination. You just don't have enough sidewall. You don't have enough rolling diameter to make sure that you can get over a lot of obstacles, and that smaller rolling diameter impacts your ground clearance. We ran into a couple situations today where we bottomed out or we couldn't get over obstacles and had to take another line simply because of this wheel and tire package. Again, this has been a complaint with the Talon for a long time. A similarly priced Razor XP has considerably larger tires. You pay a little bit more for a mid-grade XP 1000 and you get 30-inch tires. That's 2 inches larger than this machine. It makes a huge difference. It's also worth noting that this is sort of a carryover from the sort of previous generation of side-by-sides. These are staggered. You can't rotate these wheels and tires front to rear. So if you spend a lot of time in two-wheel drive ripping around, you're going to chew through your rears and then you're hosed. You just have to buy new tires. You can't rotate all four through. We want to see a square setup. We want to see 30s on this machine because we know it'll fit. We've bolted 32s to a Talon before just fine. I don't know why Honda sticks with these tiny little 28s and these massive 15-inch wheels, but it's a big problem with the Talon. We want to see it fixed. All of that brings us to who is this machine for? Look, if you're just getting into sports side-by-sides, you're coming up from something like a Pioneer or a Ranger or a Defender, and you're thinking, man, I need something with a little bit more fun other than utility, this is a great machine. It's inexpensive. It has an excellent suspension out of the box. It has a hyper-reliable drivetrain, all things that are a bonus for somebody who's just getting into a sport machine. Also, it's perfect for someone who has a little bit more wide open space. Look, we're here in the hills of East Tennessee where the trails are tight and technical and it's really hard to find a place where you can really stretch this machine's legs. That's not where this machine shines. If you're out in Arizona, Utah, Nevada, where you've got BLM land just out your back door, this is a machine for you. Last, I'll say this is for someone who is tired of CVTs. You don't want to mess with a rubber belt anymore. You don't want to step up to something like a Maverick R or an XD 1500. This is a good machine. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Yeah, we don't love the throttle, we don't love the shift logic, but those are small prices to pay to never have to turn a wrench on that transmission. Change the fluid, you're good to go. Okay, that's been 5 things we love and 5 things we hate about the 2023 Honda Talon 1000R-4. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check out utvdriver.com. We're going to have a full review of this machine soon. We've got a buyer's guides, we've got galleries, we've got the whole 9 yards. We'll see you there.
Wow.